He's a tough street-fighting lawyer with the highest ratings for honesty and integrity. He's here to answer your legal questions and get you the help you need. You're listening to the Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Joe Ingram has more than 20 years' experience fighting for his clients here in the state of Alabama. Joe's focus is criminal defense and family law. You don't have to face your legal issue alone. You've got Joe Ingram on your side. In case of sensitive legal matters, you can always reach out directly to Joe at joeingramlaw.com and arrange for a private consultation. And now, Alabama's defender of the defenseless, protector of the people, and all-around good guy, Joe Ingram.
All right. You're listening to the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, your Alabama lawyer. It's December the 6th, 2025. We're back. We started in December 2024. We took a brief break in March of 25, and thankfully, we are back with WERC. Stay tuned for some information in the coming weeks about big news for the show beginning in the year of 2026. We are grateful to WERC for letting us to continue this podcast show. We are also thankful for all the people that called our office over the last year and asked us to continue the podcast. And again, we are so grateful to partner with WERC and iHeartRadio that they were willing to let us continue this endeavor. The schedule for December 2025 is we are going to do 3 shows for 1 hour. We want to get reacquainted with you as the audience, and then January of 2026, when we come back, we will be doing 2-hour podcast shows. Again, please listen for exciting news in the coming weeks for maybe different markets. That's a little tease there. If you have a question or a topic you would like us to cover, go to the iHeartRadio app on your phone. Click on the little red microphone. We're going to call that the Spy for Rent hotline. Yes, folks, the little red app on your phone, iHeartRadio, go to the little red microphone. That's the Spy for Rent hotline. You can leave us a question. You can leave a comment. You can tell us anything you want us to talk about on the Spy for Rent hotline, and we'll cover it in the next podcast. Obviously, Spy for Rent is a key sponsor of our show, and you will come to know Jeff Hammock and Corey Fuller very well over the coming weeks and the next year. Spy for Rent will be sharing with us their technology, investigative tools, how they do private investigations for affairs and infidelity. They are able to do forensic cell phone searches and other computer technology to find incriminating evidence for a cheating spouse in a divorce case, for alimony, for information in a child custody stakes where high stakes are important. Spy for Rent is the investigator you need in the state of Alabama. We welcome you to join our podcast and listen to this show on iHeartRadio. You can download it on your podcast at Apple Tunes, Spotify, YouTube, or you can even go to my website, joe@joeingramlaw.com, if you'd like to download our podcast. If you need to call my office, call the phone number 205-825-5297, 205-825-5297. You can talk to an intake specialist. You can talk to Holly or Elizabeth, and we'll be glad to get you in for a consultation. My practice involves criminal law, family law, and I practice from Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, and even the Dothan area. It's a little joke. If you ever listen to the original first podcast, go back and listen. I'll tell it someday. And for those of you in the Huntsville and Tuscaloosa market, you might want to pay attention to us in the coming weeks. We might be really important for you. That's a little teaser, folks, if you're paying attention. This is the time of the year when everyone is going out Christmas shopping, buying gifts, and going to Christmas parties. And we're going to talk about some of the same material we talked about this time last year. If you go to that work Christmas party, do not get so drunk that you lose your job by January 2026, folks. You may need an employment lawyer by then. And if you're the person that is sexually harassed or sexually assaulted, call HR by Monday. 2, if you go to that Christmas party, my mama always used to tell me, Joe, nothing good happens after 10 or 7 in the morning. Hello, take an Uber. If you get that DUI, you're going to be calling me sooner than you think, and you're going to need my representation, and you're going to be help paying for my radio show. If you go to that Christmas party, folks, please do not use someone else's Xanax, Klonopin, Alprazolam, all the good drugs that take the anxiety off when you have to be around people that you don't like, but you got to go to that Christmas party and then have a drink and go out and drive. If they find the substance in your bloodstream, guess what? They're going to hit you with a possession of a controlled substance charge if you don't have a prescription for that medication. Okay? So don't use somebody else's anti-anxiety medication. Just food for thought there. If you go to that Christmas party, be it a work party, a family gathering of friends, whatever it may be, do not get so inebriated and drunk that you say something later that comes back to bite you and you have to live to regret it. As Vince Vaughn used to say, do not get humped up and make some bad decisions. You'll live to regret it later. 2025 has been an awesome year for all of us financially, and for some of us, it's been a very tough year as well. It has flown by for us at joeingramlaw.com. We have been so blessed, so fortunate this year, and we look forward to continue to represent our clients in 2026, and we hope to do even more work this year. This is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, 105.5 WERC. We're back on the podcast with you. We want you to listen to this show. We want you to download it. We want you to share it with your friends. And we really want you to be a part of this show in the coming future. You can go to the iHeartRadio, click on the little red microphone, Spy for Rent Hotline. Spy for Rent Hotline. That's how you can get to us. If you need to call my office, call 205-825-5297, 205-825-5297. As always, our show is meant to be real, informative, give news, and at the same time, it's meant to be witty, funny. Take some of the stress off of you in your everyday life. We want you to have a voice. If you have questions, if there's material you want to hear about, please let us know. I have contacts all over the state. We'll get the people to come in and talk to you about whatever type of area of law you want to discuss. A little bit about my practice. We do divorce cases. Now, folks, I want to make a little distinction based on what's happened in this last year. People call us, Mr. Ingram, can you come to family court? No, I do not go to family court. Why? I don't like going to family court. I'm not going to do something I don't like to do. If you have a divorce case, great. If you have a modification of a divorce, great. If you have a modification of custody, great. Call me. I'll be glad to help you. Criminal law, what does that involve? Well, municipal court typically involves misdemeanors, DUIs, possession of marijuana second, and an oldie but a goodie, domestic violence cases that have creeped in the last 30 years because they never were really prosecuted before then. So if any of those cases apply to you, call my office. We'll be glad to represent you. If you have a state criminal case, those can be anything from Class A to Class D felonies, murder, rape, homicide. Manslaughter is a Class B felony. Possession of drugs, trafficking cocaine, trafficking fentanyl. You can call us as well if you need representation for a state criminal case. So let's talk about some of the news over the last week. Nationally, Jim Comey, the former FBI agent, and the former Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, were indicted in federal court. Guess what, folks? A federal judge just threw out the indictment based on the court stated that the indictment was bad because the U.S. attorneys that Trump appointed were not officially supernumerated, so they were invalid indictments. It came down Thursday night that they re-impaneled a federal grand jury in Virginia, and I don't know how it got leaked out, but the grand jurors chose not to re-indict Letitia James Thursday night. And, of course, Abby Lowell, her attorney, and, yes, the attorney for Joe Biden's son, my idol. I would love to have 10 minutes with Abby Lowell. Guess what his billing rate is, folks? $1,400 an hour. Yes. Abby, if you're listening, give me a call. I really want to talk to you. Abby comes out Thursday night and says, well, there was never a case. They never should have been indicted. No, Abby, you're wrong. There is a case. They brought it in Virginia. Virginia is a purple state at best. It's not a red state. It's not a blue state. It's a purple state. Half the people that live in Virginia work in Washington, D.C., which is the slush pit of the world. That's why they didn't cut their own throats and re-indict them. Okay? So that's some big news that's been out in the news this week. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't heard, Kim Cattrall. Joe, who is Kim Cattrall? If you ever watched the show Sex and the City, Samantha Sexy. Oh, she was gorgeous. She just got remarried, folks. And I had to go look it up. She's on her fourth marriage. Why in the world are you getting married for the fourth time? After the second divorce, you really don't need to get married again. Just live with them. Live in sin. Jump over a stick, tie a rope around your fingers, say we're married. Whatever you want to do, just don't go make it legal, okay? If you want to make it legal, come see me for a prenup. I've done more prenups in the last 2 years than I've done in the last 20 years of my life. And some of my clients right now will tell you, yes, Joe, I wish I had done a prenup before I got married. So that's some big news that's been happening the last week or so. In the state news, folks, this is really big news. And this hits me on several points. Under the great big beautiful bill of Trump, they changed some legislation about the amount of money you can borrow to go to school for certain degrees. Have you heard about this? Folks, this really bothers me. If you are a nurse in the state of Alabama now, it is not considered a professional degree. How in the world is a nurse not considered a professional degree? You know what they call it? They call it a graduate degree. Notice the distinction there? Well, Joe, what's the distinction for? Why do you have the distinction? Here's the distinction, folk, and here's what it's really about. It's all about money. If you get a professional degree, you can borrow all the money you want to go to school with the federal government, and it takes longer to pay back. If you get a graduate degree, they have a tier of the amount of money you can borrow to go to school. See the distinction there? Now, we have CRNAs, Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetists. We have CRMPs, Certified Registered Nurse Practitioners. Folks, those two people have what we call a DEA license number, meaning they write medications. If you can write a medication for a narcotic, how in the world are you not a professional in this world in day and time? They got this one wrong on all aspects. And here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen in real life, okay? It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over the next 4, 8, 10 years. This is how this is going to play out in an economic system. Well, Mary Jane wants to go to school to be a nurse. Okay, great. She goes to X college. Well, Mary, you can only borrow $28,000 to go be a nurse. Well, the school costs $42,000 a year. Yes, I know. Well, I don't have the money to go to school. Well, I'm sorry. This is all you can borrow. So some people are going to be forbidden to go to school to be a nurse because they're not going to be able to borrow the money. Here's another scenario that's going to come out of this. Well, you think the schools, you think the universities are going to lower their tuition? No, they never do. Here's why. They've already locked in what they're going to pay their professors, their adjuncts, their overhead, the university. If you go to Sanford University, no knock, I love it. I went there 3 times. They have to keep that grass green 365 days a year. You think they're going to cut down on the grass? No. What do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to lower the number of the students in the classroom, and they may just jack up the tuition more. So we're going to have less nurses in the future. And nursing is one profession that grows more and more every year. We don't have enough nurses as it is. So we really got this one wrong, folks. I've seen a lot of commentary on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of commentary on Facebook and social media in the last week. And I didn't know really what it was about until I went and read it the other day. Nursing is a calling. Nursing's a big-time profession, and nursing is a professional degree, and we need them very badly. So thank you, nurses out there. Love you. So that's my soapbox about nursing. It's just a big, important issue to me. So, again, this is Legal Lowdown. We're back with WERC 105.5 WERC, just off of the campus of Barron's baseball field. In the next segment, we are going to have the very pleasure of having Jeff Hammock of Spy for Rent, who's going to join us, and you're going to hear his voice a lot over the next year. He is our featured sponsor. Jeff Hammock and Corey Fuller run Spy for Rent, and they help produce this show, and they're our key partner with us. And so you'll be getting to know them and have a conversation with them with us as well. Again, if you're having your cup of coffee and you're thinking, I've heard this voice somewhere. Yes, we were with you last December. It's a year to the day, folks, that we started the Legal Lowdown on WERC. And we are so fortunate to be back. We're glad to be a part of your Saturday morning routine. And we hope that you listen to the podcast. You find it entertaining. You find it informative. You find it witty. And you decide to share it with your friends. And if you have something you want to share with us, go to the little iHeartRadio app on your phone. Look at the little red microphone. That's the Spy for Rent hotline. That's the little red button like to the presidency. That's the little red button to the show, to the Legal Lowdown, and we'll discuss the information with you. If you have any questions, always call the office, 205-825-5297. 205-825-5297. You can look us up on the web, joeingramlaw.com. You can download the podcast at Apple, Tunes, Spotify, YouTube, or directly on my website. Okay? And get any information that you need. We're going to spend a lot of time in December talking about issues that involve divorce cases. This time of year, all my clients call me and they say, Joe, we need to get this ready before the holidays about visitation. And it really starts right before Thanksgiving. When we have contested divorce cases, whoever the non-custodial parent is right now, we try to lock down what visitation they're going to get for Thanksgiving, what visitation they're going to get for the holidays. In today's world, folks, it's really sad. If you are going through a divorce, you have 2 different households, you have 4 sets of grandparents possibly. You're looking at doing 8 different events for custody, okay? And so we have to work out all that time. Well, Johnny's going to go from 12 to 2 to here, and Johnny's going to go from 4 to 6 to here, and Johnny's going to do this on Saturday and Sunday. Well, you know what? Maybe Johnny's tired. We're all worried about what we want as the parents pushing the kids around, and we're not thinking about what the kids really need in that situation and moment in time. They're being hauled around the state to see all the grandparents. And it's important. I get it. And at the same time, they got a lot of emotions going on in them. They might be in counseling. They might be on medication from what they're going through. So let's take a step back. Let's think about the children, okay? I've got some really hot contested divorce cases going right now with custody. God love them. I can't imagine being in their homes and going through Thanksgiving and Christmas right now. I mean, it has got to be a living nightmare scenario. And one of the biggest questions I always get is, well, Joe, how long is this divorce case going to last? And my question is, if I could predict that question, I would predicting the ponies out at the horse races to be a multimillionaire. That is going to depend on you and your spouse and how long this lasts. I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm going to get it over as fast as I can, but I don't control that. And unfortunately, I have a number of contested divorce cases going right now, and they've got to get through the holidays together. So we try to work with everybody for the visitation schedule. And that's also a situation that plays out every weekend on Friday afternoon. I got to get the kids to pick up the non-custodial parent at 6. I got to have them back by 8 o'clock on Sunday night. Yes, you do. And I'll tell you another big thing that we're going to talk about next week. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, next week we're going to have Judge Brian Huff, who is a divorce judge in Jefferson County. He's going to be our featured guest on the podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We've come up with all these new things in custodial arrangements. Now we have, well, the child must have reasonable phone time with the non-custodial parent during the week. Okay, what is reasonable telephone time to you or to me? And 2, we're talking about kids. How long do you think they want to sit there and hold the phone and talk to daddy who is in whatever part of town or whatever part of the world he's in? And then the dad calls and he goes, Joe, my son only talked to me 2 minutes the other night, and I know she was sitting in the room. Okay, how old is she? 6? Well, do you want to leave a 6-year-old in a room by himself? That's why mom's with him. She's not coaching him. She's just there because she's the parent. And how long do you think he wants to hold the phone? He wants to go play with his toys. So there you go. See how easy this stuff is when you talk about it? It's just all psychology. I tell clients in every divorce case, and I told somebody this the other day, we are all 8-year-old people walking around in adult bodies. However we were as children is how we are as adults. We're just in a bigger version of ourselves. Whatever baggage you came with as a child, you carry into your adulthood. And then when you get married, you carry that baggage into that relationship as well. See how much fun this stuff is? It's all psychology and sociology. Oh, and by the way, ladies, whatever your relationship was with your father, that's the relationship you're going to have with your husband. Men, whatever the relationship was with your mother, that's probably going to be the relationship with your father if you haven't done some serious psychoanalysis and worked on your bag of issues. I love this stuff. Man, I have missed this so much. I am so looking forward to this conversation the next couple of weeks during the holidays. There's a lot of good information we're going to talk about. So we are going to take a break here in a few seconds. And folks, come back. Spy for Rent. Jeff Hammock's in the house, and we will have a conversation with him. We'll be back. Thanks.
You're listening to the Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram. If you need confidential legal help off air, reach out to Joe at joeingramlaw.com. Stay tuned for more. Joe will be right back after this break for news and weather. You're listening to the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. Joe is a 20-year veteran of the Alabama courts specializing in criminal defense and family law. If you need a private legal consultation, email Joe at joeingramlaw.com. And now, welcome back to the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram.
All right. It's Legal Lowdown. WERC 105.5 WERC. We're back. It's December 2025. We've been away for a while, and we're back in the studio, and we're so happy to be here. And if you didn't pay attention to the first segment, we practice from Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa, Mobile, and even Dothan. We have some big news coming in a couple of weeks. We may be in other markets. Pay attention to Huntsville and Tuscaloosa. So, Spy for Rent is our biggest sponsor of the show, and we are so fortunate to have Jeff Hammock in the studio with us for the podcast. Jeff, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you, Joe?
Great, man. How's your December going?
It's been long. It's been busy.
Good. Busy's good, right?
Busy's good.
All right, so tell Jeff, tell us a little bit about you and what Spy for Rent is.
Well, I'm a licensed investigator. Spy for Rent is the catchy little marketing name that we use as our attractiveness. I have been at this probably, I'm going to go back and say 1994. I think I hung my first shingle.
All right. Well, tell us a bit about your credentials. You're not just an investigator, Jeff. You're highly accomplished in the state of Alabama. Tell us, brag a little bit about yourself.
Okay, all right. I'm not accustomed to this end of the microphone. You ought to know that, right? As an investigator, we listen more than we talk. I have probably climbed the professional ladder the best you could. I just finished a 4-year term with the Private Investigator Regulatory Board, which is the licensing aspect for our industry. I am on the executive board for the Private Investigator Association here in Alabama. And I probably hold every license that the regulatory board allows us to hold. I'm a certified trainer. I'm a sponsor. So if you are seeking employment part-time, full-time, you would have to go through an apprentice program, and that requires a sponsor to take you on and teach you the trade craft.
Okay. And I got to meet you, I think, in January of 25.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how we never crossed paths until this last year.
Yeah, I know every lawyer in Alabama. I never knew you.
Thanks, Jeff.
There you go.
But I think it's fair to say that we've developed a really good relationship, both professionally and personally, and we respect each other a lot. And you've done a lot of work for me and my clients over the last year.
I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. And Corey Fuller is a big part of your team.
He is what we call a managing partner. He's my COO for Spy for Rent, and he is the younger version of me, I guess. You know, we all get old. We tend to get slow, and we retire out. He's the new wave of, as you've seen now, electronic and digital forensics that my old self just didn't bring to the table as well.
Jeff, we're going to have lots of segments over the next year, and people are going to love all the little stories we tell about what we do professionally.
We got to name it. How about Spy Stories?
All right, we'll call it Spy Stories.
Spy Stories. Love, Lust, and Life, and Spy Stories.
Love, Lust, and Life, and Spy Stories with Jeff Hammock.
There you go.
Okay. Tell the folks out there, because a lot of people that are going through a divorce may be looking for an investigator to see that they need proof, to pull the trigger for that divorce. Do they call you directly and say, hey, I think my spouse is cheating, go to work?
Sure. Most occasions we will point them back to a lawyer to make sure that what they feel they want to see or hear or surfaced as evidence or data is actually going to be usable in court. There are two routes that people come to us on. We determine it as peace of mind or piece of evidence. And depending on their request, it qualifies in both. If they're represented by an attorney, and such as yourself, the lawyer sent them to talk to us, we pretty much know the fine segments or elements that the lawyer needs to surface within that specific litigation to that client. Not every case is just a blanket, this is how we do it and this is what you get. We tailor a lot of our objectives towards what the attorney will be able to use in litigation over what the peace of mind of the client is, because at the end of the day, the custody of the child, the awarding the assets, those are the most important.
Jeff, technology's changed so much now, and most people out there don't know the little toys and tools that you get to use. And Corey calls me all the time bragging about his new little toys he's got, and you know which one I'm talking about. Explain to the people out there, when I go get a court order to search a cell phone, and I always call Corey Fuller, what do y'all get to do?
So we will only open the phone under a court order. We basically just open the phone. We do what's called an image. We copy, if you use that word. We image what's on the device, and then we hold that image for dissection depending on what the attorney is looking for from those data points. And that's basically we just copy your phone.
Question that just came to my mind, and I've never asked you this, but it's really important. When you do a cell phone, I use the term cell phone dump. Is that a fair term, or is that just...
Could be. We call it an image.
Yeah, image, okay. Copy the phone. If there is evidence of child porn or child abuse or sex human trafficking, are you under some type of mandatory reporting requirement that you have to turn that over to the police or investigators?
Yeah, we're going to get there before you. We're going to call you on the way as the lawyer and say your client has a problem. You probably want to get down to the police station. We're mandated to report.
You are?
Mandated.
I've never asked you that until we just had this conversation. All the conversations we've had over the last year, I've never thought about that until just now.
Now with the licensing required by the state, the mandate is there.
Okay.
Before then, there was no mandate, and that's maybe that's another spy story, but it was a pretty sad one. Couldn't release the information.
Wow. Okay. Is there, let me ask you this. So how do you know? Is there something that's a flag when you do the image of the phone that says, hey, we got a hit, there's something there?
Yes, so the AI portion of it can look for those images, states of undress. There's a number of ways that it'll parse through it. And a lot of times it's just an investigator flipping through the photos and the videos that are on the phone.
Yeah. But, I mean, realistically, I know Corey, he doesn't have time to do that on every one that he does, to look at all those images and stuff. So.
No, it's classified. And not classified as far as security go, but the classifications of the photo, our system will go in and begin to segregate which photos go into which folder. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
kind of. You're looking at me funny, so I'm going to say no.
No.
If there's 14 photos of people at the zoo, it's going to recognize the similarity of those photos and classify them together, especially if they were taken on the same day. If one in the middle happens to be a bathroom and a bathtub and there's an image of an 8-year-old in there, it will recognize the difference in the interruptions in those and then flag it.
Oh,
it will also see the picture and go, that's odd. Well, let me ask you this. You too. Have you heard of a platform called Barnyard?
No.
So it's a spinoff of OnlyFans, and it's for those under the age of 18. You think about that for a minute. We have all the adults over the age of 18 doing the various activities on OnlyFans. Most of them are adults with children. Do you know in the sex trafficking world, the pimps who have the various people out working for them is called a stable. And now we have the barnyard, which are the young ones coming up to occupy the stable. And these kids can post themselves in bathing suits, various dance array, various attire. They're limited. There's restrictions. But a lot of the parents are signing their children up for barnyard.
Do they get paid for that?
Mm-hmm. Just like OnlyFans.
I see. So they're putting themselves out there saying, hey, I'm available to use me.
No, they're putting their kids out there saying, it's a child. And we have our child predators. We have our work. You were talking about the images on the phone. Some of these images come from your surfing on the internet.
Okay. Interesting. All right. What is the other new little tool device Corey called me about a couple of weeks that he is so excited about the phone from the FBI? Can you explain that just a little bit? Because every time we talk about it, I get confused.
No, we're talking about the phone locations?
Yes.
Yeah, that's supposed to be super secret. Thanks for dumping that out. Okay, here we go. So every communication device runs off of an IP. And, John, you just nod if I'm right. And feel free to chime in, too, because it's going to be up your alley. So every communication device runs off an IP. You have an Apple Watch. You have your workbook, your work tablet, ThinkPad, whatever it is. As long as it's communicating, it has an IP. Your IP address is assigned by your cellular provider. And it is difficult to say IP address 123 belongs to Joe Ingram or John. You can't cross-reference that back to an identity. We can now, pretty much. I can take into our platform now and dump a physical address into the computer, and then in 30-day dumps of data, see all of the IP addresses that traveled in and out of that physical address, that bubble of 300 feet. So if we have issues of stalking, right, we can see the stalker going down the road, and not necessarily in real-time driving, but we can see them enter and exit that bubble. So if they're hanging out at the gas station a mile or two down the road, we just put the bubble around it, and we see when they come and go. There is anonymity built into this platform, so we do not see you right now real time. What happens right now, if I put it around this studio, it would be Wednesday or Thursday before that data surfaces for me to see what happened historically. But I can go back historically up to 3 years. So if I was wanting to see who's entered or exited, and not who, but the IP that is entered or exited a specific area, I can now go back and track that movement for 3 years and see if they've come in. So in instances where, and this is the attorney-investigator relationship that we're trying to foster here, then the attorney gets a client that comes in that says, I've been paying alimony, I live out of state, my ex-wife lives in Birmingham, I don't ever see her, but I'm hearing rumors that she has someone staying with her. Well, it's against the violation of the order, cohabitation, and you have a right to terminate the alimony. We can now go back and say, yeah, that was really been going on for probably about a year and a half now, based on our data on our IP search, that we can see that he travels from this address and his phone or his device is also at this address. And so once I have a known individual, I can come up with their home address, and then I can begin to compare the times that the two IPs have been at one or the other's home.
Jeff, I have a potential client right now that's paying alimony, big-time alimony, that has contacted me. He's like, Joe, I know someone's living there. I know someone living there. Now we may be able to connect the dots to that little piece.
This is not a magic bullet. It's still kind of being developed. We can only see about 65 to 70% of the cell phones in the United States. There's still some that run in what we call the Casper mode. They're off the net. Their geodata is turned off. There's a lot of things they've done in a security measure to their phone to prevent the average Joe from just transmitting their location. And you have consented to that transmission. I'm going to add that. When you did the terms of service, you said you can have my location data.
Yeah, that was my big thought with Corey originally. I said, Corey, to me, this seems like this is a civil rights violation. He said, no, Joe. He said, you've already consented when you.
Well, no, you have a right. Just don't use your phone.
Okay. All right.
But that is what we are launching in 2026, along with this program, is this IP geofencing. And again, it's still all new. It's still raw form. We're finding elements where it does not assist. We had one the other day where there was an automobile accident at an intersection, canvassing the area. There are no other video cameras. There's no way to prove one way or the other. But we put the dot around the intersection, and we have about 7 or 8 vehicles that pass through at the time of the accident. It's just a matter of me to develop that back into an identity. And I have your witnesses of the accident.
Good stuff. So, your segment's going to be called Love Life. What was it?
What were we arguing about? Yours is what?
My calling card is Guns, Drugs, and Knives.
Okay, well then mine will be Love, Lust, and Life.
Okay. And we're going to call it Spice Stories going forward.
Yes, I don't want to come across, these are human beings, these are people, and you know as well as I do, in the heat of the passion, you make some really odd character choices, I guess you'd call it that. Decisions.
Hey, we have 7 minutes. All right, so let's do this story. I want to do the first spy story, and we're going to do the one about the pets. Go.
All right. Husband and wife, man and woman married, become husband and wife, become both very financially successful. Neither of them had children, but they had a love for pets, and they would adopt pets. And late in their life, they learned to hate each other, but they loved their pets more. And we're talking millionaires, so, you know, the dogs live the best life. Somewhere in the midst of the hatred, they decided to get a divorce. We divided the house pretty easy, the cars, the business. I mean, it divided smooth, except for the 2 dogs. And that was a custody challenge over 2 dogs. And they paid their lawyers for 1.5 years to fight over 2 dogs. Now, that dog's got another 5 years best to live, and we're going to fight for 3 over who gets it. So old Jeff and his team were hired to go out and put surveillance on the puppies to make sure that they were walked on time by calendar, specified by the lawyers as to when the dog would be walked and how far it would be walked, how frequently they visited their veterinarian, which was weekly visits to the vet. Nobody does that. They had that caliber of dollars to spend that the dog just run through the vet once a week. It would get groomed and cleaned and so forth, but not allowed to leave the dog in the car while they ran in the grocery store. Same with the child. You know,
you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do
that anyway.
No.
But
oh, and you forgot about the part that if they walked the dog in the cold, that the dog had to have
a sweater.
Dog had to have a sweater on.
Temperature established for the minimum and maximum amount of clothing of the animal.
You know,
written by lawyers, no less.
I know, and that's what I was fixing to say. You know what the best part of this is? 2 lawyers get together and they sit down and they think of every word that they can use on paper because they charge by the minute to write a property settlement agreement.
I've never seen people fight over a dog to that degree, but they didn't have children. They had tons of money. I mean, just obviously money to blow because we're out there 5 days a week looking at the dogs.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. When we talked about this situation the other day, when we have marriages now and the kids are grown, or even when the kids are not grown, I was telling you, I said the biggest fights I'm having now are over the pets. Gen Z, I guess, Gen Z and the millennials, you know, they're not having as many children as the baby boomers and my generation, and so the pets have replaced the children, and you know, for people that can't have children, I would kill you for my dog. I mean, anybody that'll hurt a defenseless animal, is a bad person.
I'm a lot of things. I'm not a pet detective. And after 30 years of doing this, I really don't want to go chase somebody's cat or dog. We'll help you through the problem, but that was a one-off for me, and I really don't want to have to do that again.
But you got paid to do it.
I got paid excellent.
Well, then you'll do it again.
Probably so.
See, you're just like me. I'll do anything you want me to do for money.
As long as I don't go to jail, as long as I don't get sued, I will never tell a client no. You just have to have the money to pull it off.
The first spy story of the Legal Lowdown is about pets. That's so good.
But I'm still feeling my way through as to what can really be said. Because, like I said, these are people. They're human beings. They're acting in the moment of emotion of a divorce or whatever.
Don't go there with me. You already broke the mold when you told the story about the guy and in the house and the ice cube and all that. Don't even go there. You've already done that last year. Okay, there are no limits here on what we do. I mean, we've already broken the mold. Okay.
I still want to ask if he's ever heard about it.
Who?
John.
Heard about what?
No, I'm not going to say it.
Oh, okay.
The ice cube.
I've not heard the Ice Cube story. I'm sorry. You mentioned me, so now I feel like I should walk into the conversation. I've not heard your Ice Cube story.
Okay, John. We had a show back in February or March. Jeff called in and told a story where they did an investigation.
Let's just save that one, and we'll just tease it right now as Ice Cube bondage.
Yeah.
Now I'm intrigued and horrified all at the same time.
And it is. It's a bad one.
Okay, we're
Right.
good. We're good. Okay, folks, this is the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram, 105 WERC. We're going to be back a part of your life for the next year. We are so grateful that iHeartRadio has partnered with us and allowed us to do this. Spy for Rent, Spy for Rent, Spy for Rent. Jeff Hammock, Corey Fuller are the guys that you need to know if you are probably going to get divorced right after Christmas and you're going to be looking for an investigator. They're your guys to call to help you with your case. And they're going to be on the show. Next week, folks, please tune in. Tune in next week. We're going to have Judge Brian Huff. He is a divorce judge in Jefferson County. He's one of the best, and he's going to spend the whole hour with us. And we're going to talk about what the court expects to see in a divorce case. What do you have to prove to get alimony? What do you have to prove to get primary custody of the kids? The judge is going to tell you what he wants to hear from the top down. Judge Huff's going to be a lot on the show over the next year. He doesn't know it, but he's going to find out soon because he's running for re-election in 26, and he'll like free advertisement, and we'd like to have the judge with us. So just some closing thoughts before we wrap up for the week. Folks, the scariest place to be is the same place you were 365 days ago. Let that sink in. How have you evolved? How are you better? How have you moved forward in whatever it is you want to achieve in the coming weeks or year? I will share with you a task in December that I do every year. I write a goal list of 300. And yes, it's hard to write 300 goals for the next year. The first 50 are easy. And then once you get past 50 to 100, it gets harder. And then from 100 to 300 is even harder. Guess what? I just went back and looked at my list. We knocked out the first 50 easy. And we even picked off some between 100 and 200. And between 200 and 300, there were some that were presented to me, and I gave them up because I'm too motivated to work rather than travel at this point in my life. So we're going to be with you every Saturday for an hour in December. And then come January, we got big news coming. We're going to be teasing up some new markets, and we're going to have lots of guests. Everybody's going to try to be in the studio so that everybody can have access to us. Always go to the iHeartRadio app. Look at the little red microphone. That is the Spy for Rent hotline. Spy for Rent hotline. That's how you get access to the Legal Lowdown. And you can call us at the office, 205-825-5297, 205-825-5297. You can talk to an intake specialist. You can talk to Holly or Elizabeth. They'll get you a consult. They'll get you what you need. Folks, this time of year is really important to take stock of your life. Be grateful for everything you have. We'll see you next week with Judge Brian Huff. Got to go. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Legal Lowdown with your lawyer, Joe Ingram of Joe Ingram Law. Don't forget to follow Joe's Legal Lowdown podcast on iHeart. If you need a private legal consultation, reach out to Joe on his website, joeingramlaw.com. Tune in again next Saturday for the Legal Lowdown with Joe Ingram. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by any other lawyer.